Cyndi Lee, and I live in Lynchburg, Virginia. I moved here with my dog Leroy from New York City. It's really pretty and good here. Now I travel the world teaching yoga and meditation. I also have retreats and trainings in Lynchburg. Come visit me. These videos are straight from the Cyndi Sphere. I hope you enjoy them. I'm Cyndi Lee and welcome to the Cyndi Sphere. Today we're going to talk about action versus position, two aspects of our asana practice that are interwoven and often happen at the same time, but are really separate things that need to be understood that way. So I'm going to move over here, and this is Leroy, my little puppy. Leroy, say hi. And sit here in Dandasana. You can follow along at home if you want to. Sitting in Dandasana, I'm in what we could think of as Tadasana legs, neutral legs. But sometimes I've heard people give an instruction such as from here, they'll say, take your legs into internal rotation. Is this internal rotation or is this external rotation? Or is this neither? I would say it's both. In every position, there's a primary and a secondary rotation. So this brings us into neutral. If you're like this is external rotation. And to come from external rotation into neutral, we can make an internally rotating action to come into a neutral position. So this is not internal position. This is a neutral position. If we went from here further, we would be internally rotating to an internally rotated position. Now I'm going to externally rotate to come into a neutral position. Does that make sense to you? Play around with it at home so you can see that I'm either both internally and externally rotating or neither. But this is a position. This is an action. If we can distinguish between that, we'll understand how things work in our asana practice. We'll understand how to come into a position and the work that is done to get there and the work that's done while we're there. Let me know how that works out for you. Thanks for visiting the Cyndi Sphere. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Cyndi and welcome to the Cyndi Sphere. Today we're going to talk about a particular action that we've all looked at and felt in our asana practice, but sometimes gets confusing. And this is tucking. Tucking what? What do we tuck in yoga class that's legal? And that would be the tailbone. And you've heard that instruction before, right? Tuck the tailbone. So in the privacy of your own home, you can reach around and touch your own personal tailbone, and you'll notice that it kind of naturally scoops like a little spoon and kind of is already doing a tuck situation. And when we talk about tucking the tailbone, we're talking about perhaps lengthening the tailbone or burrowing the tailbone into the body. When you play around with this, you're going to ask yourself, am I doing that or am I not doing that? Because it's really pretty subtle. And that's the point. Tucking the tailbone is a very subtle action. But often people get confused and they tuck their whole pelvis. This big action like this, a scooping under situation. And that's a totally different thing. Your pelvis is much bigger than your little tiny tailbone. So let's think about it for a second. In asana practice, when do we actually have an instruction to tuck the pelvis? Cat pose. That's a pelvis tucking situation. There's Karmasana. You might tuck your pelvis then. Child's pose could have a tuck. That's about it. We don't often tuck the whole pelvis under. Sometimes we tilt the pelvis, but mostly we make a tilt of the pubic bone back and a slight tuck of the tailbone to bring them toward each other. The pubic bone is like feminine energy, and the tailbone is like masculine energy. And they draw together to support and liberate the spine. We could think of them as 50-50, except that's not always the case either. If you're a natural tucker, kind of like this, you're going to need to apply maybe 70% of a tilt to come into even. If you're a natural tilter, like me, I'm always having to remember to burrow my tailbone in, to lengthen my tailbone, to slightly tuck my tailbone so it can meet evenly the energy of the pubic bone. And isn't that yoga? Isn't that exactly what yoga is about? Working with oppositional actions to come into a place of wholeness and balance. And even that place is moving all the time. It's fluid because every day is different. And isn't that yoga? Meeting the situation as it is, seeing what's needed in any given moment, and working with things as they are. And you can do that right in your pelvis. Good luck with that. Thanks for visiting the Cyndi Sphere. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings never be parted from freedom's true joy. May all beings dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.